In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you step by step my exact ChatGPT marketing strategy that's responsible for $4,000 to $5,000 days for our business. I'm going to show you what we sell, how we track those sales so we know they came from ChatGPT, how we show up on ChatGPT even though we don't show up on Google, and how you can do it too, regardless if you're a software company, an e-commerce brand, an agency owner, or a local business. So sit down, relax, and enjoy these next 30 minutes because it's going to be packed with value. It's going to be very boring, but trust me, if you manage to sit through all this and at the end actually apply the things that I'm going to go over, well, there's no reason why you too can bring in $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 days to your business with ChatGPT. So let's break it down. All right, we're here. Let's just get going. So as I said, it's going to be a very boring video, but trust me, if you watch all the way through and if you actually apply what I teach you here, you will too see success. And by success, I mean $3,000 to $4,000 days. Okay, so first things first, what do we sell? And I'm going to show you what we sell. Don't think that you can only succeed with this strategy if you sell the same thing we do. You don't. You can sell virtually anything, and I'll give you some examples right here. If you're e-commerce brand, if you're a software company, if you're a local business, if you're an agency owner, I'm going to give you a couple of examples of actual business owners who are in each one of these categories doing the same thing. Okay, so what do we sell? Well, we have something called Arvo. It's a software that helps you rank on Google and get cited by ChatGPT without any manual work. It basically generates and auto-publishes ready-to-rank content that sounds exactly like your brand, not like AI, that ranks faster, gets cited, and turns traffic into sales. That's the pitch. That's what we do, right? It's basically what we do. We have a bunch of results. Okay, so we're a software. We're a software company, boring software company. Okay, that's what we sell. Now, how do we actually track sales? Because how do we know that this money doesn't come from Google or YouTube or word of mouth, right? It's very important that when we're talking about a marketing strategy, that we're able to actually pinpoint where the sales are coming in from. Okay, so how do we track sales? Well, you might have noticed that when you use ChatGPT or any other AI, by that matter, is look at the bottom left corner. When I search up for anything like, for example, what's the best teeth whitening brand in the US, be concise, right? So anything you search for, any brand that's cited, so anytime GPT mentions a brand or cites a brand, right, every link, right, will show up down there, right? You see on the bottom left corner, right, there's a link showing up, right? All these links show up. Now you notice that if you click any of these links, right, the URL right here always has as the UTM source equals ChatGPT. Again, anywhere you click, always have the UTM source, the UTM code ChatGPT, right? And this basically allows you to, in your analytics software, regardless if you use Google Analytics or we use, for example, PostHog, doesn't matter what you use, any analytics software will pick this up because GPT gives you the UTM source. So anybody that clicks a link that comes from a ChatGPT search, right, has a UTM source code attached to it that says ChatGPT. So if you're a business owner, most likely you use a data software. Most likely you use Google Analytics because it's free and it's one of the best ones. But I'm going to show you, in our tracking software, which basically does the same thing as Google Analytics. It just allows us to have a bit more customization and control over the data we see and how we treat the data. But it's that same thing, right? This graph right here shows you the signups per UTM source, meaning this is not a graph for all the signups on our site because, a lot of the signups come from people who don't come from ChatGPT, right? Or come from people who don't click links, right? Let's say, for example, right now, you're a viewer of this video, right? And in the beginning of the video, I mentioned this is our product, Arvo, right? You could just simply type in the brand name on Google, right? And just type in Arvo, right? And then click the site and maybe sign up for the product, right? That sign up will not have a UTM tag attached to it because it's just a brand search on Google, okay? Or, for example, if you just go, let's say, for example, I have a link to Arvo on this YouTube video, right? If you just click the link, well, YouTube won't add a UTM tag to it. Now, a way in which I can do this, and you'll notice that most likely the pinned comment on this YouTube video or in the description is going to be something like this, arvo.com, and then question mark, UTM_source, and then I just do YouTube video. So if you click this link, I know you came from this YouTube video. Most likely I'll just do the code because every single YouTube video has a code. And so if I put this right here in the description or in the pinned comment and you click it and you sign up, I know you came from this video. This is exactly the same thing that ChatGPT is doing. Any of these ones you click have a code or UTM, we call it UTM source attached to it. So my point is that when you see this right here, signups per initial UTM source, these are the breakdown of the signups we get that from people who have a UTM source attached to it. So people who click the link, which are not all of them. Okay. Now, GPT is the one in light blue. So you notice that in August, right, 6.7% of our tracked signups, so signups per UTM source. Again, if this is confusing, just comment below and hopefully I'll try to clarify it. But again, the tracked signups per UTM source were 6.7% in August. A month later, they were 12.5, so they 2x'd. October, they were 22, right? And November, which were in the 10th of November, it's almost 30%. So as you can see, it's increasing by a lot. What does this tell me? Well, it tells me that we're showing up more and more and more on LLMs, well, in specific ChatGPT, right? Our brand is being mentioned and cited more and more and more in ChatGPT, and people are actually clicking it, and not just clicking it and going to the site, they're clicking it and then signing up, which also tells you that, okay, the prompts people are using that are having our brand show up, right? And the mentions or citations of our brand in the answers to the prompt they looked for are relevant enough that make people not just go to the site and then sign up. Because, and I've mentioned this before, right? I'll do it again right here. When we're looking and when we're comparing Google, right, with Bing, the classic search engines, versus, for example, LLMs like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, any other LLM, right? These work like a funnel, right? And the classic ones work like as you know, right? On Google, you just search up for something, right? And then it give you like a list, maybe an article, then maybe a YouTube video, then maybe like a Reddit thread, and then you go and you click, you read through the article, you click, you watch through the YouTube video, then you click this and you read through the Reddit comments, excuse me. And then based off of this, you make your conclusions and you buy the product or service, excuse me, right? With ChatGPT is different, right? You prompt it with something, it gives you an answer, right? You prompt it again, it gives you an answer, right? You prompt it again, it gives you an answer, and you go down the funnel until the answer you have is good enough for you to make a conclusion if you want to buy or not buy something. That's basically it, okay? Now, the main difference here is that when you prompt the AI with something, mostly all it's doing is doing all the work that you used to do manually, like clicking the article, reading through all of it, watching the video, reading through the Reddit comments, and giving you that in like a little concise answer. That's basically all it's doing, right? It's browsing the web, right? You notice that when you search for something, it browses the web based off of your prompt. If I, for example, type in, hey, I'm a beginner gardener, I'm looking for a kit to start gardening in my garden, what do you recommend, right? The AI, this mega prompt, the AI has into account that, okay, I'm a beginner, right? So the ICP is a beginner gardener. So the ideal client profile is a beginner gardener, okay? I'm looking to buy a kit. Maybe the AI will go on Amazon and look for beginner kits. Maybe you'll read through blog posts of people who have gardens in, maybe I said in the prompt, I'm from New York City, right? So you'll find gardening kits maybe that are tailored for plants that can grow in a city. You get the point. So all it's doing is taking into account all the context from your prompt, right? Browsing the web, reading articles, reading blog posts, reading news, reading LinkedIn posts, tweets, watching YouTube videos, and then based off of that info, it will tailor it to the prompt you just gave it and give you an answer. And then you keep iterating back and forth until you have the final answer. So on the right-hand side, Google and Bing, right, you do this all manually, right? With AI, it just does the boring work that you used to do as a human, just fully automated. That's why these LLMs are so valuable, okay? Because it just saves as humans a ton of time. And if you use ChatGPT, right, you know this, right? It just saves you a ton of time, right? For example, I just typed this right here, right? What's the best teeth whitening brand in the US? Sure, I could just type it on Google, teeth whitening brands, right? But here I can go down the funnel and I can say, yeah, but I have teeth sensitivity or gum, whatever, right? So I can go again down the funnel, stuff that I cannot do on Google. Now, surely Google has AI mode and we can compare GPT with AI mode, right? But I'm just using ChatGPT as an example. But anything that I'm talking about here about SEO for ChatGPT is applied for any LLM, or like Grok, Google's AI mode, Claude, or whatever. I'm just using ChatGPT because it's the mostly widely used. That being said, in a bit of a tangent right here, I do think that at the end of the day, who's going to win is going to be Google because, man, Google had the distribution, and I can just go here and click AI mode and just use it right here. So this is Google's version of ChatGPT. That's basically it. Okay. So hopefully this makes sense. Now going back here to the magic whiteboard, how we track sales is simply because these LLMs now give us the UTMs. So we know who clicked, and it is increasing by a lot. And I urge you, and if you're into marketing, you know sort of what you're doing, right? You have to track your results, right? If you don't track stuff, if you don't measure, how can you improve it, right? How can you make more of it? So it's very important. Now, the big one, how do we actually show up on ChatGPT? Even though, or even when, sometimes we don't show up on Google. So, for a little while, we thought that there was a correlation, right? And there sort of is a correlation, right, between how high you ranked on Google. So ranking high on Google would mean that there was a direct correlation between the number of mentions or number of citations on LLMs like ChatGPT. So highly ranked on Google equals or implies that you have a lot of mentions on ChatGPT. So there was a correlation implied, correlation. That being said, we've came to know that this is not correlation, there's some correlation, but there's no causation, meaning that it isn't because you rank high on Google that you'll necessarily have more mentions on GPT. Not necessarily, okay? Again, correlation, not causation. And why is this important? Well, it's because we've seen, and Ahrefs did a study on this, which I'll open up right here. If I go into Tim Solo's Twitter, which is the CMO of Ahrefs, you'll see this right here. And you can go and read it. I'll leave it in the description. What they found is that nearly 1/3 of the pages or the brands cited on ChatGPT have zero organic search presence. In other words, a lot of the brands, or 1/3 of the brands who are cited when you search for stuff on GPT, right? These brands right here, right? 1/3 of them do not even rank on Google, meaning they don't even have organic traffic on Google. This is good. This is amazing, right? Because ranking on Google is hard, right? For a bunch of niches, niches are very competitive, okay? But this is good because it means, okay, even though I don't rank on Google, even though I don't get all this traffic from Google, I can still rank on GPT. So I don't have to necessarily rank on Google to rank on GPT, which is amazing. And the reason why this is again, it's tied in with the funnel thing, right? Because again, I asked it for something, right? If it's super specific, right? Why would GPT, when they go on Google or Bing to browse the web, why would they constrain themselves with only the top 10 results? That doesn't make any sense, right? Because again, the goal of GPT is to give you an answer, the best answer possible. So if I'm super specific about, hey, I have this specific disease, I'm looking for this specific product, I tried that one, and that gave me this rash, and now I'm using, so a super specific prompt, right? Well, the AI needs to dive deep. They need to go maybe to a research paper or to a blog post ranking on the 50th page of Google, or maybe to a Reddit post posted like 10 years ago who doesn't get any traffic from humans, but has relevant info. So this is amazing because this tells me that even if my site that's ranking on the 30th position, even if it doesn't get any human traffic, well, it can still get some bot traffic. And why is that good? Because then the bots show the contents of my site to humans. And that's insane, right? That's amazing, right? Even though tomorrow, let's say tomorrow nobody uses Google anymore, and your site gets 0% human traffic, zero, no more traffic. Well, that's not necessarily bad because humans are still going to be searching for stuff. Just the medium of consumption, of the medium they search for stuff is different. So even if you get 0% human traffic, well, people will still use GPT or still use AI modes, you will still use any LLMs to search for stuff. And when they prompt it for stuff, well, then the AI will go to the site, read the info, and then give that to the human, citing your site. So yes, you don't necessarily get human traffic, you get indirect human traffic because the AI, like your assistant, does the research for you and then shows you the info in a concise manner. And that's amazing, right? This tells you that yes, you still need to be producing content, you still need to be posting stuff on your site, even if it gets zero human traffic, because you never know if it can't get traffic from GPT or any other AI, okay? And by the way, our brand, I know we're an AI SEO tool, we don't do the best job in ranking for SEO related keywords because it's a very competitive industry. It's very hard. Like there's billion-dollar companies, literally billion-dollar companies that have millions in funding to spend on marketing. We don't have any investors. So we're competing against keywords which are very hard to rank for, very, very hard. So if you go into Ahrefs and you put in our brand, we don't get that much traffic from Google, right? That being said, we get a lot of traffic from these LLMs. And the reason is because there's a certain strategy behind the content we produce, this is what I want to talk about next, that yes, doesn't necessarily get us ranked on Google, but gets us cited. And this is where the fun part of the video begins, because it's how do you craft content that you don't really care if it doesn't rank on Google, but you optimize sort of for GPT. So this is what I want to talk about right now. I want to give you a couple of examples of different types of businesses. So hopefully if you're in any of these corners, which hopefully you should, I don't think I'm missing anything right here, you can apply what these guys are doing to their brands. And by the way, that being said, even if you're like an e-commerce store, the stuff that I apply, that I'm going to talk about in the SaaS space can be applied to e-commerce, or the stuff that I'm going to talk about agencies can be applied to e-commerce as well, and vice versa. So don't put yourself in a box. The stuff that I talk about in each one of these can be applied to multiple industries because it's more or less all the same. Okay. So let's get started. I want to show you first a few case studies. These were all sent to me today, by the way. As you can see, I just asked the support guys for some case studies, and this was sent today. As you can see, the 10th of November, and this was like an hour ago. So I was just sent these 3 case studies, and my goal here is just to show you that this works for any niche, any business, regardless of how big or small you are. And not just that, but the fact that not only are these guys pulling in traffic, their traffic is worth something. In this case, 6K a month in traffic is worth $12,000. And I'll show how this is calculated in a second right here. Let me just do this live right here. Again, this was sent to me an hour ago. These guys have been with us since January 2024. It took him 2 years of consistent content, but went from 0 to 6K a month in a German market. The business type is a financial blog in Germany. Okay. And so I just pasted the guys here in Ahrefs. And as you can see here, their traffic is 6.3K a month. Most of the market is German, of course. And this right here, the traffic is worth $2,700 a month. Now, how is this calculated? Well, is if you were a competitor of theirs, right? If you were trying to rank for these exact same keywords, if you wanted to rank for these 2,006 keywords and pull in this traffic by paying Google Ads, so you could pay Google Ads to show your site for these many keywords and pull in this much traffic, you'd have to pay Google Ads almost $3,000 a month in ad spend to get this same traffic for these same keywords. So this is how this is calculated. So my point is that this traffic isn't just a vanity metric, because it can happen that a lot of times people just flex traffic and they flex, 0 to 8K a month, but the traffic is like irrelevant. They rank for non-high buying intent keywords, meaning the people who are searching for these keywords and going to these guys' sites, well, they don't want to buy anything. And I'll give you this example, which I give a lot of the times, which is, let's say I have an iPhone repair shop, right? People come into my store to have their iPhones repaired, right? But before, of course, they come into my website right here. Now, my website could rank for keywords like how to repair an iPhone. But you can also rank for keywords like how much does it cost to repair an iPhone, or where can I repair my iPhone? Now, the keyword how could have 10,000 searches a month. Right? And the sum of these two keywords, the sum of the search volume, like where or how much, only has like 1,000. Now, you'd say that it would be smarter to rank for this keyword because it has 10 times the amount of search and you get 10 times the amount of traffic. That being said, someone searching for how, well, most likely they want to do it themselves. While someone searching for where or how much, well, most likely they want to pay someone to do it for them. So the buying intent is much higher for people right here. So if you draw up a matrix where in the y-axis you have the buying intent, and in the x-axis you have the traffic, right? You make a list of the keywords you want to rank for, right? And you put them here, right? Keywords with high buying intent, low traffic, high buying intent, high traffic, low buying intent, high traffic, low buying intent, low traffic. And you don't go for the keywords here and here, so you don't even try to rank for those. You try to rank for the keywords here and here. Why? Because these have both high buying intent. And what matters isn't the traffic, right? This is a vanity metric. This could be $1 billion a month. But if you're not pulling in any money off of this, it's kind of pointless. What you want is money coming into your business. We're all here to make money, right? Regardless of what business you have, you're here to make money. You don't just want vanity metrics. You don't just want traffic. You want money coming in. And so that's why you have to rank for high buying intent keywords. And this right here shows me that this traffic is of high buying intent. So this traffic comes from keywords who are of high buying intent, because if I wanted to rank for these keywords, if I wanted to pay Google for these keywords, I'd have to pay Google $3,000 a month. And this only happens if the bidding for these keywords is high, thus meaning they're high buying intent keywords. Hopefully this made sense. Okay, so this is not just some vanity traffic metric. The guys who are using our software are pulling in actually results. And by the way, this is not a video about my software. It's a video about SEO and ranking on ChatGPT, which, by the way, these guys also do. But I have to talk about this because there's a correlation, again, not a causation, but there's a correlation between how well you do on the classic Google and Bing search engines and how well you do here in the AI citations. But we'll cover that in a bit. Again, these are just a couple more case studies, right? 0 to 1.2K a month. This is a Singapore consulting company. What's this? This is a, okay, this is the same one. Sorry, my bad. This is a Portuguese company. So there's many more. There's e-commerce stores as well. For example, this is an events company. Well, let me see here. What else? Airport directory. This is an e-commerce store selling high ticket kids toys. So 500K a month. What else? These guys sell yoga mats. So they just grew their traffic. They're growing their AI citations, and there you go. So there's a lot of people right here, and all these guys do the exact same thing that I'll show you right here, right? All of them do the exact same thing I'll show you. But just proof that this works, right? And proof that there's somewhat of a correlation as well between how well you do here, right, and right here. Okay, it is obvious. Again, not a causation, a correlation. And I can assure you that there's a lot of traffic that's not here, right? That from pages that don't rank, right? But they rank or they're mentioned here in the AI reviews. So, as I said before in the beginning of the video, there's a correlation, not a causation. Now that I've shown you that this works for any brand, let me show you what some of these brands are doing, okay? And I'll start with e-commerce brands, which are the first ones that I have right here in my thing right here, e-com brand, and the ones I have right here as well, yoga mat brand, pulling in a bunch of AI citations, AI reviews, and a bunch of traffic from Google. These kids selling toys. What else we have here? Oh, and this one right here. There you go. E-commerce brand, a supplement powder e-com brand who's growing on these LLM mentions and growing as well on traffic. Now, again, by the way, I'll be fully transparent right here. This traffic isn't as valuable as the other one because out of 2.6K, it's only around $500. Still, it is valuable because you could argue then that you could retarget these people, you could run ads to these people, and you're building a brand, which is good. So traffic is good. Again, it can be a vanity metric, and that's why I like to be transparent, but it still is good regardless, okay? As long as you have a plan in place, okay? And by the way, right, the example I gave you about the iPhone repair shop where your site could be ranking for keywords like how or versus where or how much, right? Even though you don't choose to rank for the keyword how, right, because it has low buying intent, right? You could still like get people to a guide, okay, on how to repair that iPhone. Step 1, step 2, and then you step 5. You say, hey, if you made it this far, most likely you haven't done it before. Here's put your email here, and we'll just send you a free whatever. Right? You can do a lead magnet. You can then capture their email. You can capture their phone number. Give them a $5 coupon off if they come to your store. So you can still convert some of this traffic who's of low buying intent. So look at all this with a grain of salt, right? This isn't necessarily bad if you know what you're doing, if you know how you can convert this low buying intent traffic via an email sequence or an SMS sequence or a special offer into high buying intent traffic. So it is still possible. So I just want to make sure that they were all aware of that. Now, e-commerce brands, tangible example. Let me give you an example for this brand called Epic Gardening. I have no affiliation with them, but they're doing a great job. So they have this site where they pull in and they're basically selling gardening supplies, okay? And they have a bunch of blog posts, okay? Niche down blog posts, for example, the 21 longest flowering bulbs to plant this season. And it is a very in-depth blog with author bio, who wrote it, why they wrote it, why they're qualified to write it, right? Featured image, a table of contents, proper content instruction with in-article links, in-article videos, images. So very, very in-depth article, okay? And again, they have many, many more. This is a full blog. If I open it up right here in there, let me just do this, open up their site. They get a lot of traffic, mostly from the US, okay? Almost 300,000 a month in traffic off of the site. And if I open up here the top pages, you'll see that all of them are in fact these, let me just see here. For example, this right here, right? These pages, some of the top pages they get, almost 3,000 in traffic. Most of these are blog pages, types of whatever plant, just a blog page. And these rank on Google, but also, right, they also get cited by LLMs, right? Regardless if it's a ChatGPT, Google's AI mode. This is Google AI Overview. I don't think Ahrefs yet tracks AI mode. Perplexity, Gemini, and Copilot. So these are simple blog posts that people, from whichever way they came here, right, and they read through it, they're introduced to the brand, maybe they click a link here, maybe they read another blog post, maybe eventually they end up clicking a link somewhere in here that leads them to their product page if they have links here to their products, they don't, but their whole goal is to convert this traffic then into people who actually then buy their products, okay? Pretty simple, right? That's the whole strategy of this. Getting traffic and then sell them something. Now, what they're doing is simply what you have to do, is to produce content that satisfies the user search intent. I guess we can call it SUSI, I don't know, right? Point being is that the reason why they rank, right? The reason why this blog post right here ranks for this keyword, well, it's because it's optimized for, let me just see if this is a blog post, yeah. So this is a blog post on 49 white flowers, complete list with names and pictures. Pretty simple, okay? And this pulls in 5,567 in monthly organic search traffic, okay? And ranks for all of these keywords. And while this loads, what do you think the keywords are that this ranks for? Well, light blue flowers, dark blue flowers, blue flowers. It's kind of weird because, okay, never mind, I opened up the wrong one. There we go. White flowers most likely, so it ranks for relevant keywords as you'd expect. It's plain and simple, right? A blog post that's about white flowers would rank for keywords that talk about these flowers. Pretty straightforward. So all you have to do, quote unquote, and what they're doing right here is, if you have a product, in this case they have gardening supplies, well, who is your ideal client profile, right? If I sell gardening supplies, well then the people who want to buy my products, most likely, mostly certain, want to set up a garden in their house. So I know that my ICP, ideal client profile, is people who want to start a garden or who want to upgrade their garden, right? Let's go with start. Let's just go with a beginner ICP, right? Well, most likely, maybe they're trying to find out, okay, what flowers can I plant in my garden? What type of flowers are there out there? How much do they cost? Where can I buy them? What type of soil do they need? Can they live together? Will they attract like bees or something, because maybe I'm allergic to bees? So there's a bunch of types of content you can produce around your brand, around what you sell in your e-commerce store, that then can lead people down a funnel to eventually buying your products or services. So that's all you have to do. If they were just an e-commerce store just with this, let's say they only had the part of the shop, only other product listings. Yeah, sure, they can run ads to it, right? But it's very expensive because these pages alone don't necessarily rank, right? They have to use the learn, they have to produce content, whether that's like listicles, articles, news, whatever, any type of content that can satisfy their ICP search intent, that can rank for those keywords, right? That's optimized for those keywords, that then can lead people inside of that to get introduced to the brand and then eventually buy their products or services. That's all they're doing, okay? Now, how do you do this? I'll use my software as an example. You can use, surely you can use ChatGPT for this. I'll just give you a tangible example on how I were to do this. So what I would do is, first you gotta figure out, okay, what keywords do I want to rank for, right? And you can do this with ChatGPT most likely, but what I do here is just copy this URL right here and say, okay, my gardening brand, okay? And then I just add my site URL. I'd add the main keywords I want to rank for. For example, let's just do gardening supplies for beginners. Let's say my brand is tailored for beginners. My e-commerce brand, gardening kits. I don't know, right? And then I'll add a couple of competitors, because with SEO, you're competing with other brands, right? So it's very important that you, in this case, you give the AI. I mean, all this does, by the way, anything that Arvo does, my software, you can do as a human, right? AI doesn't do anything better or worse, it just does it faster. So you can sort of do this as a human, but again, with this AI, the more context you give it, the better. So I want to give it a couple of competitors right here. Let me just say here, gardening for beginners, so I can find a couple of competitors. Let me just see here. Brands who I can compete against. Okay, I think this one should be it. I'll just add one for now, just for, doesn't make it super long, okay? And then country, US, language, English. So what this will do is it'll take into account my e-commerce brand URL, my main keywords I want to rank for, all my competitors, and also the keywords I rank for and the keywords they're relevant for, and give me a list of keywords that I should be producing content around. Now, should you follow this list blindly? Of course not, right? Have some critical thinking. Do you need to use Arvo, my software? No, you don't. You can use ChatGPT, I think. Maybe you can. I don't know if you can give it that much context, but yeah. You can even use your own brand and type out a list of keywords, okay? So then, I'll just show you an example right? This is for the same business, right? Gave me a bunch of keywords right here. So gardening drawings, Home Depot gardening center hours. Let me see here. Let's see, small stones for garden. This is a high buying intent keyword. Again, don't just look at the traffic, look at the buying intent. And I can literally produce a blog post or a piece of content or a listicle on the top 10 types of stones you should add to your garden that are small, whatever. I can do things around this, and I can then produce content that looks just like this right here. I don't know, for example, just like this. Snails and slugs, what's the difference? This is very valuable because imagine, this article ranks for keywords that are relevant for the article itself, like what's the difference between a slug and a snail. Surely some of the people going here are just curious, but some of them maybe do have gardens and maybe are afraid that having snails on their flowers will eat up all the leaves and will ruin their garden. So they want to know the difference between both, so they can be protected, or maybe they can buy some pesticides to make sure that don't show up. And maybe, who knows, this brand also sells this pesticide, so they'll tell them, hey, listen, if you want to make sure that snails don't show up anymore, click here, buy this pesticide on our shop. Hopefully this is all making sense, right? It's all about driving quality traffic to your brand, and by producing content you think can drive viewers into buyers. And just like what these guys have right here, you can produce the same thing using AI or not, doesn't really matter. So let me just show you a couple of examples of some generations with AI. This is an article on gardening tips in arid soils. The AI added an image, added a table of contents, right? Added proper content structure with in-article images, internal links to your product, to other pages, external links to external authoritative sources, in-article videos that are relevant to what the article is about. So this is an article about gardening tips in arid soils, and the video is about desert gardening. So the AI did all this for you automatically in just a few seconds, added links to your products, added links to other sources to validate the info that's on here, and then you can just publish it straight to your site, or you can just do some revisions. You can change things around if you like you can select parts of the article and just do this right here real quick. You can select parts of the article and add links to it. You can add keywords, you can rewrite things, you can make it shorter, make it longer, make a list. You can even add custom prompts if you want to. You can just speak with the article as a whole and just speak with it and change things around. Point is not selling you this, just point is that you can do this if you want. And AI nowadays can produce all this stuff for you in just a few clicks. And again, automatically add links to your product, add links to other, maybe Wikipedia or to other external sources, embed videos, embed images, and actually create content based off of keywords that you think can be of high value. And this does do the same thing that these guys are doing. They're producing content to drive people to their shop. Oh, and by the way, Vasco from the future here, there's one thing that this does, which is you can create knowledge bases. And what this is you can basically upload your brand into Arvo. You can upload videos, text files, documents, PDFs, whatever. You can upload all your brand's assets into Arvo, so then it's able to create brand specific or brand tailored content. So non-AI slop type of content. Brand tailor your own brand's mannerisms, brand tone of voice, because you upload your brand's assets and you can create multiple knowledge bases to Arvo, so the output is amazing. And it's because the output is so good, because of stuff like the knowledge base, which allows us to tailor the content to your brand, that you see all these results right here. And there's many more, by the way. Quick plug, if you go to arvo.com/case studies, there's a bunch of case studies of people just like you and videos I've made on other brands that see insane success. 0 to 10K in 24 hours, 0 to 4K in 90 days. And there's many, many more. Even in the pricing page, I think there's a bunch of results and case studies right here. So yeah, it works, and the small things do make a difference. So yeah, that's it. Now, after that, and this is specific to e-commerce, is how you craft your stores. Now, a lot of people just end their stores right here, their product pages right here. What these guys are doing is great, because if you just scroll down, they add a ton of information. For example, right here, material breakdown, right? They tell you that it's made out of a thick, ultra-durable steel and painted with non-toxic USDA approved paint. Now, why is this valuable? Well, again, if you're going down the funnel of using an LLM or using ChatGPT, right, you prompt it with something. Let's say, for example, you say, hey, I'm a beginner gardener, I'm looking for a garden bed to plant my plants. What do you recommend? Answer, hey, based on my research, I found these brands. Here's where I think you should buy. Then I say, hey, yeah, but I've heard that these garden beds, they should be made out of like some special material so that the rain doesn't mess it up. What do you recommend? Oh yeah, you're right. Here are a couple brands that make these thick, ultra durable steel garden beds. And you say, yeah, that's great, fantastic. But I've also heard that maybe some of these are painted with some weird paints that are toxic that then come the paint chemicals go through to the dirt, and then they go into my vegetables, and then I'm eating these toxic waste. It says, yeah, you're right, but I found this one brand that actually sells these non-toxic USDA approved paint garden beds. Here's a link. Boom, and these guys are mentioned. Why? All because they just put this right here. And I can assure you that this page doesn't rank on Google for non-toxic USDA approved paint garden beds. 100%, right? So they don't rank on Google. That being said, they show up on ChatGPT. Why? Because the person who's searching for this, who's being specific enough and going down the prompt until they have the perfect answer for them, asked for it. And the AI only showed it to them because it's mentioned right here. So one of the secrets of AI and showing up on these LLMs is giving as much info as you can. Be super specific, right? Tailor this to your ideal client profile. Say what you are, why do you sell it? Why is this made? What material is this made out of? Why is this made out of this material? Why not, right? Why is this phone you're selling big? Why are the numbers big? Is it because people that have that don't see very well, maybe more elderly people need bigger numbers, and this helps them then communicate with their loved ones, and this helps them maybe establish a better connection with them. And you can just go down the rabbit hole, right? You can do a lot of stuff right here. You can make a huge funnel where the final thing is, hey, more connection with my grandmother and grandfather. Okay, a phone. Yeah, but phones need to have bigger numbers, otherwise they won't use the phones, right? They need to be super simple, otherwise they get confused and they won't call you. So yeah, phones with big like numbers are a better way to create connection with your loved ones, your elderly, with your grandmother or grandfather. Hopefully that made sense, right? You have to be super specific and don't hide a single thing, but be specific, right? Otherwise you won't show up, okay? So this, I guess, is the first example for e-commerce. Hopefully you were able to take some nuances of this, some gold nuggets. Regardless, I'll link down below these videos right here. These go into the same subjects, but maybe go a bit more in depth into certain e-commerce things. So I'll leave links for these videos down below in the description. Check them out if you want a bit more context, okay? Now, moving on to if you are a SaaS company, if you're a software company. So for example, we are a software company, right? This is a software, right? You can pay anything you can pay monthly for is a software company. So for example, Zapier or even iCloud or Netflix or Disney Plus or anything you pay a monthly subscription for that's like a software you can use, right, is a software. Hopefully that made sense. So yeah, we're a software company. So how would you apply these same strategies to software? I'll play a clip of a video I recorded in the past that goes over this step by step. So hopefully this will help you out because it goes in depth into all this, and it doesn't make any sense for me to record the same thing again because I've already recorded in the past. So play the clip. All right, we're here. We have a lot to cover, so let's just get going. SaaS SEO strategy. And I want to start with a couple of examples because I think before I show you the boring stuff and the tangible stuff, I think it's important that I show you some successful businesses leveraging SEO to drive traffic in an insanely manner to their businesses. So I want to start with a few examples and then we'll go from there. First one is Veed. Pretty much what they do is think about Photoshop but for video, or Canva but for video, right? They have this video editing tool that does a bunch of stuff, right? You can add subtitles, you can transform photos to videos, you can change the audio up, you can add, like, remove the background, text to speech, any little feature you can think about when you're editing a video, okay, cropping, etc. Their software does it, okay? So their SaaS, which is priced in this much, right, allows you to do video editing, okay? And what to do in terms of SEO is insane. So this Veed.io /tools, okay, which hopefully you can see the URL, is just a directory for all their tools. And if you click any of these, right, all these pages are the exact same. Page 1, paragraph, call to action, image, and then how it works. Every single one of these is the exact same. It's the exact same thing. The page 1 is the keyword, right? And all of them are the exact same thing. Add subtitles to the video. Then this page ranks for a bunch of these related keywords. Let me show you an example, okay? /tools. And if you go here, organic keywords, not only does this get 23,000 people every single month, but it ranks for add subtitles to videos. This is weird. Captions, add captions to video, Veed.io. This is very weird. I don't know why. Interesting search term right here. Yeah, regardless, I mean, it ranks for a bunch of relevant keywords for adding subtitles to videos because that's exactly what this tool does. But the most interesting thing right here is if you just remove this and go to /tools, right? The /tool pages gets 2 million. So if you combine the traffic that all these tool pages get, right? Because all these are under the /tools URL. These get a combined 2 million in monthly organic visits every single month. Okay, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And all this is, quote unquote, all this is just they take all the features that their SaaS does. They create a bunch of pages, right, that talk about each one of the features, right, and that's it. Of course, they optimize it properly, and all these pages are the exact same thing. And going for a bit of a smaller scale example, in our software, we do the exact same thing. We have all these features, okay? We have less features, of course, but all the pages are the same. Age 1, video, age 1, not this one, but age 1, call to action video, right, what it does. Age 1, call to action, what it does. So all these are pretty much the same thing, okay? So if you have a SaaS, first things first, you should convert all the features you have into feature pages to some extent. And again, no need to reinvent the wheel. Again, these are all the same. I know I'm repeating myself a lot, but these are all the same. And because they are properly optimized, they're targeting a industry with a lot of search volume, well, 2 million. And by the way, all this is if you click here, and if you don't click add to use the tool, they just send you inside of the software, okay? So there's not even like these free tools. Oftentimes what happens is that the SaaSes have a lot of these free tools, okay? And they link you to the actual free tool. Here, no, they are just the feature pages, literally feature pages, which regardless of which one you choose, they always send you here. They always send you to the product, okay? And this is the freemium version of that product, okay? So that's the very first one. Then the second one I want to look at is Canva. I'm sure you guys know Canva, okay? Canva is like the Photoshop, but online. I use it. I have a paid subscription. I don't think on this account, but I do have it. Canva is the same thing. If you go to Canva I think it's templates, okay? Canva/templates. Well, let me just open it in an incognito window so you guys can see what I mean. These are the same as you just saw with Vid, right? All the same thing. So if I click here, open this up, right? Sitemap, whiteboard, in green, purple, basic style. So all these, let me just go here to whiteboard, okay? Whiteboard templates, okay? If I go here, whiteboard tool, right? I can open more here. Let's see here. Let me just open a few more right here. What's this? Presentations, logos. I can open them over and over again, right? Presentations, templates, boom. So they all have this exact same thing. And if we go here to copy this URL, /templates, okay? We just plug it into Ahrefs. We can see the immense amount of traffic they have as well. 4 million every single month. And the premise is the exact same. In Canva, you can use it as Photoshop, right? And what do they think? Okay, you can use Canva just like Photoshop to create presentations, to create like Instagram posts, to design YouTube thumbnails. So they took all of these little features you could do, right? And created pages for each one of them. Just like in Vid, they create feature pages, okay? Just like you saw here. And then they aggregate them all in this /tools where you can see all the tools. Canva does the exact same thing. And you can see the immense success here. I'm going to go here to top pages as well so you guys can see what the pages are. So canva.com/templates /Eddie Mubarak /birthday templates, wedding templates, portfolio wallpapers, company templates, newspaper, vision boards. It's insane. You can check this for yourself. Point being here is that I want to show you what these guys are doing in terms of their SEO strategy. And don't think it's just templates, okay? Let's take a look at Thinkific. So Thinkific, all they do, quote unquote, all they do is they're a platform where if you sell online courses, you can host them here, okay? There's a bunch of them. There's Kajabi, there's a lot of them, okay? Mega successful, millions in monthly revenue. They're very successful. And again, part of the way in which they drive traffic to their business is through SEO. And one of the things you do is comparison pages, okay? So them versus competitor. And they have a bunch of these pages where the only thing that changes is the name of the competitor, okay? If we just zoom out, this is again just a page, H1, them versus the competitor, which one's right for you, paragraph, call to action, little image, then a table comparing the two, comparing the features, comparing the prices, like a simple comparison page, right? And if I go here to, let me just say versus, let's try Teachable, which is a competitor there. Surely they have a page for it. There you go. Again, the page is the exact same thing. Okay, of course, the endpoint here changes because they're comparing two different tools, but the layout, similar to what Vid does, similar to what Canva does, is the exact same thing. These are comparison pages. Now, why are these valuable? Well, because they rank for a bunch of bottom of the funnel keywords. By bottom of the funnel, I mean keywords that are closest to the buying journey. So when you have a funnel, top of the funnel keywords, so TOEFL keywords would be stuff like how to host an online course online, or which platforms should I use to host an online course. They are here at top of the funnel because people are still looking for the platforms. Bottom of the funnel, BOFU, right? If someone's searching for Thinkific alternative or Thinkific versus Teachable, well, they have a course, right? They're looking to host it somewhere. They know two of the companies that can do it, and they're looking to see which one's the best to probably buy one. So they're much more down here at the bottom of the funnel. Now, there's even more bottom further of the funnel, but this is just an example of what it means to be top of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. Okay. Point being is that pages like this that target both of these, look at the keywords they're relevant for. Let me go here, organic keywords. Okay. Let's see. Thinkific that's Teachable versus Teachable versus Teachable. Let me see here what else we have. Price, Thinkific price, SSO Teachable. So it's all about the being bottom of the funnel, better than Teachable, right? So pricing Teachable, Teachable support. So even though this page is for Thinkific, so Thinkific is the business writing this page ranks for the competitors' keywords. So this page, again, this is written by Thinkific. This is on thinkific.com. And this page, because it's so well optimized, has so in-depth info, it ranks for Teachable support or pricing for Teachable. Okay, keywords that Teachable would want to rank for, but now we are stealing their traffic. Okay, and this again might not be the greatest example because these don't have much traffic right here. Let's give this one a go to see if there's a bit more traffic for these ones. There you go, Kajabi versus. Let's see what else we have here. Kajabi learning platform. So Kajabi app. Point being is that these pages, because they are so in depth, right? Not only do they rank for keywords which are highly valuable, one versus the other, but they tend to rank for keywords that their own competitors wish they ranked for. So versus page, so comparison page, alternative pages, which is something we do as well. I'll show you here more examples. Because again, I want to be tangible with this. But just scroll down here, open this up. Just open this up right here. This is a comparison page. Okay, we compare ourselves with a competitor, right? And we have a video, a comparison table, right? Proper info going over both, and we rank on Google for this. Now, I'll talk about ChatGPT and other LLMs in a bit because it's also important to be mentioned on ChatGPT, but I'll cover that later on. Point being is that we also do this. Now, these are the comparison pages. We can also do what we call alternative pages. So let me just go here and just look for one. There you go. For example, this one, 10 best ghostwriter AI alternatives. This is a competitor of ours, right? So what we did was, okay, this is a competitor of ours. We want to make sure that we can capture the traffic from people who use this product, right, and are actively looking for alternatives. So we made a blog post, a page targeting these keywords. So we target, okay, what is ghostwriter AI? What is our competitor? What is the pricing of our competitor? What do they do? So this first introduction allows us to one-up them to some extent, allows us to rank for their own keywords. So this post, I'm not sure if it does or not, but some of ours rank for competitor name, pricing, competitor name, features. Why? Because we talk about them extensively. And I'll show you the best example of this, which is PayPal and TransferWise in a bit. But then we talk about the alternatives. So point being is that you got to produce both comparison pages and alternative pages. And I do want to show you what I just mentioned about Wise and PayPal, which is where what I just showed you on the blog is where we're talking about our own competitor keywords. And so someone that does this very well is Wise. Okay, you guys all know PayPal. Okay, Wise is also called TransferWise. Okay, it used to be called TransferWise. It's an online bank. Okay, that's all it is. And what they do is, because one of our competitors is PayPal, okay, what they do is they produce content about PayPal. And that might seem like weird. Why would Wise, a competitor of PayPal, be helping PayPal producing valuable content about them? So that Wise produces blog posts about PayPal's fees, PayPal's pricing, why you should use PayPal, why PayPal is great. Why are they doing this? Well, it's because by doing this, they became hyper relevant for keywords PayPal's current customers, are searching for. And then they just do a call to action to PayPal, to Wise. Let me show you an example. Go here to Ahrefs, put in wise.com. Go to organic keywords and see. First of all, they got an insane amount of traffic, 87.5 million in monthly organic search traffic, okay? But let's go here to organic keywords. Now, some of these, let me just sort by PayPal so it's easier because they do rank for a bunch of stuff. Keyword contains PayPal. Apply. And they don't just do this for PayPal. They do it for all their competitors. There you go. They rank first for a keyword with 221 in monthly organic search traffic. Excuse me, 4.2K, but they get 8,000, okay? Which is PayPal's fees calculator. So this page right here, which is a simple calculator, which ranks for a bunch of other keywords, which I want to show you right here, right? What do you think people going to this page, right, PayPal fee calculator, who search for these keywords, PayPal calculator, PayPal's fees UK, people searching for this, well, they use PayPal, or most likely they want to use it. And so what Wise has right here is a simple calculator, age one, PayPal fee calculator. There's a calculator. I mean, you can do this with ChatGPT nowadays. Like, it's pretty simple to build a calculator, right? They talk about, right, PayPal fees, what they are. They have in-depth information. Honestly, I've used PayPal, and PayPal tends to hide this information. If you go on PayPal's site, it's very hard to find like proper information about PayPal. So this is very well done. It's also part of the reason why it ranks first. It ranks above PayPal, right? It ranks above PayPal. So it's super in-depth, super valuable content. And of course, in the end, they say, hey, listen, yeah, you can use PayPal or you can just use Wise to save a bunch of money with us because we're cheaper than PayPal. And they do this for a bunch of keywords, a bunch of PayPal's keywords. PayPal, Gcash, let me see more. Let me just search for the ones in the US because I think it's easier. Boom, boom. How does PayPal work? PayPal friends and family fee. Can I use PayPal on Amazon? I mean, it's insane. The Wise is producing content about PayPal's topics better than PayPal itself. And yes, it might seem weird, but no, it's good because then PayPal's users, instead of going to PayPal's site, well, they go to Wise's site, they get great information, and some of them think, okay, why would I use PayPal when Wise is telling me all this information? Even if I use Wise, it's cheaper. So they get introduced to Wise's brand. So producing content about your competitors. And so we have all these right here. I know it took me a while to cover all these examples, but these examples are tangible examples, and all these businesses are growing through search traffic, okay? It's about creating these tool pages, which don't necessarily need to be free tools. You can just use the pages as like a gateway page to drive traffic to your main tool, right? Canva, Thinkific writing comparison pages, writing alternative pages, Wise and PayPal writing content about each other's competitors, okay? Hopefully this long intro gave you a sense of what you can do, right? What you can do with SEO, what you can do with search engine optimization. Okay, so now with that intro out of the way, here's what we're going to be using for driving traffic. We're going to be using these search engines, not YouTube. Forget YouTube. This is a mistake here. We're going to be using Google and Bing and LLMs. LLMs are just ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, any other LLM you use like on a daily basis that's behind the user interface product like ChatGPT, we're going to be using. And you'll notice that all this is tied in together, okay? Now, we're going to be optimizing our results to show up first, right, through search engine optimization. That's obvious, okay? Now, here's what we're going to do for Google and Bing and what we do and what I think you should be doing, okay? First, as I mentioned before in some of these examples, right, we're going to create 3 types of pages. And these 3 types of pages, our goal is to have them rank for high buying intent keywords automatically. So what do I mean by high buying intent keywords? Well, the perfect keyword you can rank for, okay, is one that has low competition and it's hyper buyer aware, okay? And I always give the example of this. Let's say I have an iPhone repair shop. I know this is not about software, but let's say I have an iPhone repair shop. Okay, people come into my shop. Before they come into the shop, of course, they have to come first into my website, okay? Website to the shop. Now, our site can rank for a bunch of keywords. It can rank for keywords like where to repair an iPhone, or how much does it cost to repair an iPhone, or for keywords like how to repair an iPhone. Now, let's say the keyword how has 10,000 searches a month, okay? But some of these 2 keywords, the search volume they get every single month is just 1,000. Now, it might be more attractive to rank for this one because the search volume is higher, but this is a mistake because you should not be focusing on traffic. Traffic is a vanity metric. You want to be focusing on buying intent. And this is the perfect example. Why? Because someone's searching for how. Well, most likely they want to do it themselves. While someone's searching for where or how much, well, most likely they want to pay someone to do it for them. They're looking for a place where or how much. They're looking for a quote. So this is the best way in which I can explain this to you. So going for buyer aware, going for buying intent. Here's an example. Let's say Webflow alternative. Let's say you've built a SaaS that's similar to Webflow. You want to rank for keywords like Webflow alternative, cheaper, so modifier, Webflow alternative, modifier, Webflow alternative, Webflow versus WordPress. So not even you versus them, Webflow versus a competitor, and then you compare them both and say, hey, listen, they're great, but here's a third option that can be better, which is our software, right? Or for example, is Webflow better than WordPress? Right? You can replace this WordPress by all of the competitors that are out there. Right? You can have hundreds of pages like this, just like I showed you with Thinkific before. All the pages are the same. The one thing that changes is the name of the brand, and of course some of the context. Okay, competitor versus competitor, you versus a competitor, right? I mean, it's infinite. Pricing, so you're targeting your competitor's own keywords, just like Wise is doing, okay, with the PayPal thing. Does Webflow allow you to XYZ? So look for features Webflow doesn't have, people might be searching for, and then you say, hey, listen, it doesn't, but we do it, right? How to do XYZ in Webflow. So all these are very bottom of the funnel keywords. And it's targeting competitors, so you target your own competitors' branded keywords, which gets you an aware market, right? Because if they're aware of your competitors, they're aware of the pain point, with the buying intent, as well as low keyword difficulty keywords, because usually specific questions about the products that exist out there usually have low search volume, usually, okay? But again, don't necessarily look at the traffic, look at the buying intent. Now, again, going back to this, we're going to be creating three types of pages, which I'll go over in a bit, okay? And we covered high buying intent keywords. Now I want to cover out the automatically part, because when you create these pages the right way, they'll rank almost instantaneously due to the low search volume. Because a lot of these keywords will have low search volume, meaning low competition, they're going to be easier to rank. Okay, so people think, yeah, with low search volume, nobody's going to buy. No. Even if there's only one person in the world, every single year searching for, I want to buy a robot right now that does backflips, please ship it to my house in 24 hours, right? That person really wants to buy the robot right now. And if the robot costs like 10K, well, you're guaranteed to make another extra 10K every single year. Bit of a weird example, but hopefully that made sense. Okay. And then you want to also create and embed interactive dynamic tools like the one we just saw with PayPal. But let's firstly cover the 3 pages, which we've talked a bit about in the examples above. So the classic comparison pages, okay? You versus them, or them versus them, or them versus you, as I said. So what you want to do here is optimize for your competitors' brand names, their info and features. So talk about their pricing, talk about all their features, talk about what they do, what they don't do. Don't hide a single thing. Your whole goal is to make this comparison page super valuable, both for the user that's reading it, as well as for the search engine. Because if you talk about your competitors so well, if you're very granular, you explain every single thing your competitor does, their pricing, their credit system, how they work, etc. Well, that page is going to become hyper relevant for your own competitors' keywords, thus even sometimes outranking your own competitors for their keywords. Okay, and I mean, these pages are pretty simple, right? They cover what competitor 1 is, what competitor 2 is, and a comparison between both. And you saw some examples of how we do it in Arvo, right? You saw some examples of how Thinkific does it. And this is a best practice. I'm not saying this is amazing. It could be a lot better. There's no images. There's nothing here. But this is an industry standard, right? Doing these comparison pages. But they have to be good, okay? And if you can embed the video of you going over one tool and the other and talking about it, even better. That's like going the extra mile, because nobody does this, because it takes a lot of work, okay? So that's the very first thing. Comparison pages. Compare you with them and them with them, okay? And there's, I mean, just off of this, if you have a SaaS, you can spin up 50 to 100 pages like this, okay? And capture a lot of search market just like that. If you start doing this today, right, you can do a lot of stuff right here. And by the way, quick plug, you can use Arvo to do it. So Arvo is, we allow you to write content, right? Optimize the content. We even have this AI agent that jumps onto your site and fixes all the technical SEO stuff right here. And you can use Arvo to generate these comparison pages, okay, which is pretty cool. I'll leave a link down below for a tutorial on it, because you can just use what we call custom templates, which basically allow you to customize how a template is going to be. So article templates, create custom template. You can even add variables. So let's say your H1 is Arvo versus competitor. Okay, this is the H1, okay? And then you want to write a paragraph, right? Talk about a short intro about both, right? And then you want to have an H2, or then you have a table, compare Arvo versus competitor. And so anytime there's this little curly brackets plus competitor, because I'm not going to dive deep into how this works, you basically feed our AI with a list, okay? A list of your competitors, okay? And Excel sheets or Google Sheets, and you feed it into the AI, right? And on the templates, anytime it's mentioned competitor, right, it will swap out the name, the variable competitor, with one of the names from the list. And so you're able to mass produce all of these comparison pages, right? Again, if you want to learn how this works, I'll leave a link down below. It's pretty cool to do all these comparison pages, alternative pages, like super quickly. Just one note, AI isn't magic. Anything our AI tool does, Arvo, you can do manually. The thing about AI is that it just saves you a bunch of time. Okay. Then the alternative pages. That's the second type of page you want to be producing. Alternative pages. Because while these ones, the comparison pages, are relevant for keywords like this versus that, right? These ones are for people actively looking for alternatives which have some pain points associated with it. Okay, so competitor name alternative. You even want to produce alternative. Here's how these guys, Chatbase, are doing it. Chatbase alternative. If you search up for Chatbase alternative, of course, there's the ads, okay? But the guys ranking first are Chatbase itself. They give you 21 Chatbase alternatives, okay? Again, they don't even mention themselves. Usually what happens is that the first is them, but they don't even mention themselves. And so you're being introduced to their brand. It's a bit weird if you think about it, because someone looking for chat-based alternatives, most likely they've used chat-based, or they've wanted to use it, but it's too expensive, or maybe it's lacking one of the features. And so they're typing on Google looking for an alternative, and they're going to chat-based itself. So it's weird, but you get the point. You can capture some search traffic like this, okay? And maybe even if after reading all this, if you read all through the 21 and there's none of them that actually satisfy your needs, maybe you'll go on to Chatbase, or maybe they offer you a coupon code right here. So point being is that you should also be producing alternatives to your own brand, because it's an opportunity for you to rank above, because your competitors will be producing alternative pages to you, just like you're doing here, just like you're producing competitor name alternative. Well, your competitors are also going to be doing that stuff as well to steal the traffic from you. So if you can just do it yourself alternative and rank above any of your competitors doing this, well, it's a good thing to just not send traffic to them, okay? And then, of course, optimize for alternative search terms, right? What the page goes over, well, what competitor one is, and then in-depth alternatives of all the competitors. That's basically it. And that's what we do as well here. Again, I showed you before, right? Competitor alternatives. We talk extensively about the competitor to make sure that this page is highly relevant for them. Is there a free plan? How much does it cost, etc.? And then we give them the alternatives, which, of course, the first one is ours, okay? And again, there's a lot of pages you can produce with this, because if you have a SaaS, most likely you have like a handful of competitors. So there's a bunch of these pages you can make. So comparison pages and then alternative pages. Okay. For example, right here you can do some of the keywords, some of these. How do you optimize for alternative search terms? Well, Slack alternative, Slack for XYZ business. So you can niche it down. Slack for plastic surgeons, Slack for lawyer, Slack for, I don't know, karting business. I don't know, man. You get the point. So you can niche down with modifiers. It doesn't just have to be this, right? It can be this for specific niche, this for Asians, this for, I don't know, man. You get the point, right? Or a modifier for the feature. So cheaper, faster, okay? You get the point. So there's a bunch of keywords you can use to optimize these pages for that. And then simply informational pages, right, about your competition, okay? Optimize for competitors' informational content, meaning keywords who their current customers are already searching for, which is sort of what Wise does as well, okay? And what the pages cover essentially is information existing customers search for on Google, right? For example, Wise with PayPal info. They outrank PayPal and even Revolut for questions about their own platforms. For example, how to cancel my Slack subscription, okay? Well, of course, Slack in itself has like how to cancel it, but all these guys, what they're doing is trying to steal Slack's traffic. Hey, here's how you cancel it, and here's what you should use instead. And for this keyword, surely Slack ranks above it, but I'm sure there's a bunch of variations of this keyword. Well, these guys rank above Slack, okay? So the point being is that produce informational content about your competitors that's more valuable than the content themselves are actually putting out, okay? And I could just end the video here. And I think this is mega valuable. Again, I'm of course 100% biased, but I think this is mega valuable. Just producing these 3 pages would give you an insane edge, and it would get you some traffic getting started. I mean, a lot of traffic sent to your site from a Google search. So that's that's the second part of this video, which hopefully was valuable so far. And by the way, if you could do me a huge favor and comment the word SaaS SEO in the comments, that'll be amazing, because YouTube's most valuable thing is not likes, it's not subscribers, it's comments. So if you can help me out and have this video pushed out to more people by the YouTube algorithm gods by commenting the words SaaS SEO, that'd be amazing. I'll be very thankful if you could do it, please. If you could do it for me, please. And yeah, let's move on. Moving on to the last part of the video, which is LLM SEO. LLM stands for large language model. And don't overthink this. It's the same as the classic SEO. Because where do you think all these LLMs get the info from? Well, your site, social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, right? Other people's sites. They just, when you search for something on here, when you prompted something, all they do is they browse the internet for you, take all the stuff and compile it in a little small snippet of text that's easier on you to read. It's basically all they do, okay? And for example, on Grok right here, this is old, but what's the best auto blogging tool for SEO? We are ranked here. We used to be named LLM SEO AI, we're not anymore, we changed the name, but we used to be mentioned here. And why do we think we show up here? Well, it's because we have a blog post on our site that talks about auto blogging tools and say we're the best one. Okay, not at random. Journalist AI versus Koala Writer, right? The info on here, right, this is a competitor of ours. Well, you can see the sources up top. The sources, one of them is the own blog post we have on our own site that compares them versus us. Then there's another blog post, then there's social posts, right? So then there's YouTube videos talking about each one of them separate in together, right? And all they do is they compile all the info online and bunch it up here for you. Point being is that if you want to show up on here, and I'll show you a last example, what's the best AI writer for SEO 2025? Let's see here. I don't think we show up for this one, for this keyword. Doesn't matter, right? Point being is that all they're doing is they're aggregating information. So you still need to be producing content, right? This page right here, Thinkific versus Kajabi, this is hyper valuable. Even if, let's put a hypothetical scenario, even if nobody tomorrow uses Google, let's say Google dies tomorrow. Well, when someone goes on to ChatGPT and searches for, hey, I'm using Kajabi, but I'm looking for an alternative, right? What do you recommend? Well, the AI is going to go online and read through blog posts, read through Thinkific's site, read through Kajabi's site, go on Reddit, go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, and then aggregate all that info and give it to you. And so having this is insanely valuable because this is insanely valuable info. It goes over both of them in depth, goes over pricing, goes over what they do, what they don't do. So the AI will read through this, and some of the info that I'll give you, right, is going to be based off of this. And we can even do a live test, okay? Let's do a live test. Why not? Let's go into ChatGPT and ask it, Thinkific versus Kajabi. Let's start with this, right? Let's see what it thinks, okay? And what the sources are it's citing for this. So let's just wait for this to load. All right, some of the sources were, so one source to, so it's sourcing Kajabi itself, okay? Lo and behold, a post of them, one versus the other. There you go. So none of this is random. All the stuff that they're citing right here is info, right? There you go. That's the blog post. There you go. Okay. The comparison page. So all the stuff they're citing right here, all the info they're giving you right here isn't random. It's based off of info we put out there. Okay. It aggregates the info and puts it into a concise thing. That's basically it. So you still need to be producing content. Okay. And so LLM SEO is no different from the classic SEO. If you suck at classic SEO, if you don't rank high, if you don't produce quality content, well, LLMs will never cite you. Okay. And so all this stuff right here, the first one, choose the prompts you want to rank for, or I guess be recommended for, I guess is the very first step. Because if you want to ideally be recommended for the prompt ChatGPT alternative, well, you got to be producing content for that. Okay. And then, because they rely heavily on social, okay, optimize for brand mentions across the web. Not just Google and Bing, but social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, they need to know about your brand. And then, of course, be coherent, right? If you mention you're the best at X, be coherent so you don't confuse the LLMs, okay? If you mention you're the best at XYZ, or if you color in blue, don't mention it's red. Be concise. Again, this is all about the classic SEO. It's the same thing. Now, the reason why social is so important is because you see right here Grok, which is Twitter's LLM, or Twitter's version of ChatGPT. You see that some of the citations right here, 15 citations were Twitter posts. And then, of course, some of them were websites, okay? So Grok, because it's owned by Twitter, right, it's only fair that some of the info and the sources will be tweets. So Grok is biased in the sense that if there's information in tweets, social posts about your brand, well, they're going to be picked up by Grok when you ask it stuff. Perplexity, for whichever reason, heavily gives you videos, okay, heavily sources YouTube as a source. And GPT, there's a high correlation between Bing rankings, your site's rankings on Bing, and the number of mentions on ChatGPT. Why? Of course, because Microsoft owns Bing, which owns OpenAI, which owns ChatGPT. And there's a high correlation between Bing rankings and Google rankings, so you could extrapolate that there's a high correlation between ChatGPT and Google rankings. So again, all this stuff stems from the same thing. It's the same thing as classic SEO. Don't overthink this stuff, okay? Now, we can go deep into it a bit, but I've made a video on this. Hopefully, I'll link it down below. Let's say the main prompt is, what's the best auto blogging tool for SEO? So question, qualifier, feature, niche, industry, and use case. And this main prompt can be applied to any industry, any SaaS out there you have. Okay, what are some of the secondary prompts? Well, so you search for this, okay, and then with these LLMs, the point is that you chat back and forth. It's like, it's very few times, at least myself, when you use ChatGPT, right, you just ask it one thing. Usually you go back and forth. And so the secondary prompts could be, okay, why is XYZ better than ABC? And then they tell you why, and then does ABC do X? How much does it cost? So you're going down the funnel more and more. Is there any case studies, success stories? And then is there a coupon code? So you're going bottom of the funnel more and more and more. You started with a question, what's the best one? And why is, and the answer to you and you say, okay, why is it better than this one? Okay, does it do X? Does it do what I need? Okay, it does. How much does it cost? Okay, sure. Is there any case studies? Is there any proof that it works? There is? Okay, cool. Is there any coupon codes? So you're going down the funnel as with these secondary prompts. So back and forth questions about the brand. And so this stuff right here, the only way that you're going to be showing up here is that if you have information about they do it, how much does it cost? Is there any case studies? So do you have case studies on your site, right? Do you have coupon codes on your site? So for example, we have, again, I'm not trying to like use this as a case study at all, but if you go here to the case studies tab, we have a bunch of case studies, okay? We have a page / case studies that we talk about all the case studies we provided. And we click it and there's actual tangible info on case studies of people using our product. So if for some reason someone's using this, this exact flow of questioning and they ask for case studies, well, yes, there are case studies. Here's a couple. So hopefully this is making sense so far. Point being is that you have to provide them with information. Information is going to be key. And so then if you're giving them, just to finish up in these 7 steps before the main key takeaway is make sure your homepage has a clear message. So you do this, your SaaS does this, and this. Again, all this is pretty obvious, right? Have pages for each feature, right? If you have a feature, talk about it, okay? First, because people going to your site need to know all the features you have. But then for LLMs and for Google rankings, well, it's important that we have all these feature pages. It's important that we talk about, hey, listen, we have this tool, this feature called AI Agent that improves your SEO on autopilot. Here's what it does, right? Here's how it works, etc. LLMs will pick up on this. And so if someone asks, for example, hey, is there a tool that automatically creates internal links? Well, yes, there is, because they read through this. Or is there a tool that automatically creates schema markup? Well, there is. So you have to provide this info, okay? Give info. So for your SaaS, create feature pages, in-depth ones, right? Write what the feature does. Don't hide anything, okay? Use cases pages, okay? Case studies pages. Again, what we talked about before, blog posts with alternative, comparison pages, informational pages, the 3 main type of pages we talked about before, right? Then be active, right? Active on your social channels, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Reddit, because again, these LLMs will take info from that as well. You saw the sources, they take info from sites and from social platforms like Reddit, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all of them, right? Also, active on non-branded social mentions, meaning basically other people recommending your brand. It's pretty obvious. And then backlinks, because SEO is a 3-pillar game. Okay, SEO, you got to do on-page SEO, which is everything that happens on the site. Okay, you have to do technical SEO, which is the boring part of SEO, which is like your schema markup, your meta title, meta description, your site speed, which, by the way, like you can have the best on-page in the world and the best off-page in the world, but if your site is super slow, well, you can be ranking first, but people are going to click it. Takes too long, just going to click off and go to the second one. Okay. Again, on page is everything that happens on the site. So the content you write, how you write it. So the comparison pages, the alternative pages, the feature pages. Do they have images? Are they interlinked between each other? Do they have external links? Do they have like videos in there? Are they properly well written? Do they have tables? So all this stuff, right, on page. Then off page basically is backlinks, building backlinks. Backlinks are basically mentions, links about your brands on authoritative sites. And I'll leave a link in the description for a free course I've made, like 1 hour long, on how to build backlinks for free, so you can just check it out over there. And also I'll leave a link for my whole SEO course that covers all this stuff right here. All it's for free, by the way, here on YouTube. And so the main takeaway here is that LLMs only have the info you give them, okay? So give them more info than what your competitors do. That's basically it. There you go. This is how I'd apply it to a software company. Pretty straightforward. Hopefully this made sense. And if there was anything I missed, please comment down below. or I'll add a couple of the videos that I'm putting here on screen as well into the description if I feel like they'll add even more value to this. Okay, so now if you're a local business, now local businesses are a different beast because most local businesses get their leads off of Google Maps. It's just how it works. You won't necessarily get a lot of leads from GPT, at least not yet. That's not what I'm seeing, at least for local SEO, and I know a lot of people in the space. A lot of these guys are still getting their leads off of Google Maps, which makes sense. Okay, so for that, I recommend you go watch this right here and this as well. These two views, and I know I say this a lot, but these two views are the only thing you need if you want to rank first on Google Maps. I think it's a 5-hour video and then a 2-hour video. If you apply exactly what's inside of these videos, or it's 1 or 2, I'm not too sure, I'll put it here, there's no way you don't rank first on Google Maps. How do I know? It's because local SEO was one of the first types of local SEO I did way back when I was starting, right? And I made a video on that years back, and I made this updated one with the help of a lot of local SEO business owners, which I help with ranking on maps. So I know that this works today. So go watch this and implement it if you're a local business. Like if you, I mean, just do a deal. If you go watch this, if you're a local business, you go watch this, you watch it all the way through and you implement it, you don't want to see results, you don't see you ranking first or second on Google Maps, hit me up. Either comment or just reach out to support right here because I reach every single support email. So go to Arvo and reach out to support and tell me, listen, Vasco, I watched the video, I tried every single thing, and I'm not ranking first on maps. And I'll, from my pocket, wire you $500, okay, and then help you out in achieving the stuff, the ranking first, because I know that that works. I've a lot of 99.9% of the people who actually watched all the way through and that got in touch with me and then applied the stuff saw results. So that's how confident I am with that. Okay, so please go watch. I'll leave it in the description as well. I'll make sure that the description of this video is pretty well optimized with everything you need, okay? So, finally, agency owner. I think we have an agency owner right here. Funny enough, yeah, these are a local SEO agency, okay? So they're also seeing results right here and right here. And I don't think we have any right here, other agencies. Let me see real quick here. I think this one is an agency, not too sure. This, no, not this one. But yeah, we have a couple of agencies, and the process honestly is the same. The process is the same. And by the way, I still want to show you this right here. And I guess I can show you the first one. As you saw before, the first one is produce content with AI. Okay. So for all these right here, the same, these 6 apply. First one is produce content with AI, because there's no point in producing content manually, right? People think Google doesn't like AI content. That's not true. Google doesn't like shitty content. Google doesn't care who or what writes the content. They only care if the content is relevant for the end user. They only care if the content satisfies user search intent, right? They don't care if it was a robot, a human, a dolphin, a dog. They don't care. All they care for is this content satisfying the user search intent? If so, well, they don't care if it's AI or not. Now, can AI write shitty quality content? 100%. But so can humans, right? Human content can rank, but it can also not rank. AI content as well. So it's not about who or what writes the content, it's how it's written. Is it actually quality content? For example, this is very high quality, right? Proper heading, intro, who wrote the article, featured image, table of contents, right? There's links. It's pretty well put together, right? This one as well that I showed you before, right? It's pretty well put together. So it's not about who or what writes the content. It's about, okay, how well is the actual content? And by the way, if you could be in non-English niches. This AI also writes articles in, let me just see here real quick, in Japanese, Chinese, all these other languages. So Portuguese, Greek, Spanish. So it doesn't just do English. It adds links in AEs. So again, it's about the structure and about the value that the content provides. Okay, so don't think that it's just because it is AI, it's going to suck. My point here is that for all these types of businesses, regardless if you're an e-commerce store, a SaaS software company, local business, agency owner, all of them have to be producing content with AI. Because if you're doing it manually, well, how would you stack against a competitor that's doing it with AI that can just do so much more volume, so much more faster, so much better, right? Again, the articles that I show you, right, in 30 seconds had a full-on thing with links to my products, links to other pages on my site, images that are relevant, videos that are relevant, right? Embeds tables, all this boom stuff done for you. And by the way, with a click of a button, you can just publish it straight to your site. It's right here, publish article, because it integrates with all these CMSs. And again, you don't need to use Arvo, but you can. And if you do, it just does it way faster. Point being is that using AI tools like this, right, where you can just one-click publish to any of these CMSs, is way faster than if you were to do it manually. Logging into your CMS, writing the content in your CMS, doing all that stuff, it's a pain in the butt. And by the way, right, not just writing, you can, if you want, you can still write content manually. Right? You can still not use AI. You can do the content writing manually if you want, and then you can use AI tools to edit said content. For example, if I open up one article right here, let me just do this for example. I can open this up right here, and I can click a revision, and I can, as I said, I can go here and say, okay, make this a bit longer, add more context, make sure you mention my brand, Arvo. There you go. So you can use AI to edit things, so to increase your speed. Boom, there you go. Or for example, I can say, I want to make sure you put this info in a table format because I feel like maybe my readers would find this more helpful in a table manner. Now this looks kind of weird because only a paragraph, so I won't do it. But you get the point, right? You can change things around. You can say, okay, add a bunch of links right here, or add a bunch of keywords right here, right? Or you can just change the article as a whole. Say, okay, add a paragraph that talks about how AI is important in the SEO space. And so it will take into account the whole context of the article and then add a dedicated paragraph where it finds where it sees fit into the article that talks about this. So again, as if you were using sort of ChatGPT to edit your content, but here's a bit faster. It is SEO tailored of sorts. And so you can use it to edit your content if you like, if you just want to write content just manually, okay? So there's that as well. But we'll jump into that in a bit, and I'll show you how that works in a bit. Let's go here again over to if you're an agency owner, how you apply it again. All these steps 1 through 6, should be applied to regardless if you're any of these types of business. Okay. Now, if you're an agency, well, let's define what type of agency you are. You can be a paid ads agency, so you run people's ads. You can be let's just do SMMA. So you're a social media marketing agency. Okay. So your clients are people who want to market their business through social media. Okay. So for example, maybe they want to attract more clients via LinkedIn. Maybe they just want to run ads for, for Facebook ads. Regardless, what's your ICP, your ideal client profile? Well, it's a certain type of business. Again, you need to narrow a bit down. If you're an SMMA, you should not be an SMMA for every type of business. You could be SMMA for software businesses. You could be an SMMA for e-commerce stores. You could be an SMMA for SMMAs, right? So let's just say, for example, you're an SMMA for, for software business. Okay, you're a social media marketing agency for software businesses. Okay, so your ICP, your ideal client profile, is a software business. Software business is your ICP, okay? And they want to get more traffic from from meta ads. Okay, so you manage their meta ads. Okay, so how would I find you? So I want to make sure that if I'm your ICP, when I search for something on ChatGPT, when I search for something on Google, your business shows up. So what would be my pain point? Well, let's assume that maybe I've tried ads before and they didn't really work out for me. Maybe I'm searching up on GPT. What's a good CPM or CPA or CPC, cost per click for meta ads? Now, if this was my prompt on GPT, it would be amazing if your brand showed up for this, right? Maybe you wrote a blog post on, hey, for November 2026, here are good here are good CPCs, cost per clicks, for brands or for software brands in your niche. And by the way, this is very important. If I'm using ChatGPT, right, and you're using ChatGPT, ChatGPT has memory. So when I'm searching for this stuff, what's a good CPC for meta ads? The AI GPT should have context that I own a software brand. So most likely it will say, hey, a good CPC for software brands is XYZ. Even if it doesn't, even if it says, hey, CPC varies from niche to niche, for e-commerce is this, for software is this, for whatever is that, whatever, right? And I say, okay, sure, but I'm a software brand. What's a good CPC for that? A cost per click on meta ads. It says, hey, for software brands, it's this. And I found this info on a blog post this SMMA agency wrote about the average CPCs for software brands for November 2026, okay? And boom, boom, boom with examples. So it cites this. So maybe I click it and I read through the whole thing and maybe I think, oh, these guys did a pretty good job with this data. Let me just see if maybe I can hire them. Let me just book a call with them and see if they make sense to work with them. You get the point? It's all about producing content that satisfies my ICP's pain point and being specific, very specific. Okay, so if you're an agency owner, SMM agency owner, I recommend you go specific. Don't just go broad. Don't say do marketing for all these weird types of businesses. Just go for one. Okay, one specific one. And even you can do even more specific, right? You can even just work with software brands doing more than 100K a month, right? And again, don't think that maybe, let's say you make an article that says, hey, here are the CPCs, cost per clicks on Meta ads for software brands doing over 100K a month. Most likely, this won't really rank on Google and it won't get any traffic from Google, right? That being said, again, on GPT, it's about prompting, answer, right? And you never know who's saying, hey, what's the CPC for Meta ads? Here's CPC for Meta ads. Hey, but I'm a software business. Okay, here's the CPC. Hey, but I make 100K a month. How much is the CPC? Okay, so specificity is very important with GPT, right? You've used it before. Every time we interact with it, we're super specific for what we want, our specific case. So you have to be specific with your content as well if you want to show up, even though this most likely won't get any traffic from Google search. And as I said before, as we talked about in the beginning of the video, where we went over the Ahrefs case study, 1/3 of the businesses cited on ChatGPT have zero traffic from organic search. So humans don't even go there. But again, the AI goes there and then shows that content to the humans. So that's pretty cool. So hopefully this made sense so far. And again, for all these we apply these 6. The second one is optimizing your current content. Okay, because all of you guys, I'm sure, already have produced a bunch of content before, already have blog posts, already have all this stuff, but it just, you guys don't update it, right? And regardless if you use a tool like this to import your current ones and then make them better, for example, say, hey, this article was written like last year, make this article more current to 2026, 2026, mention studies you find about XYZ topic in paragraph 1, add a paragraph talking about the latest in the whatever. So you get the point. So you can speak with this and say, hey, make this more relevant to the current times, because this most likely is outdated. It's a pain in the butt to do it manually, so just use AI, because the AI does the research for you right here. If you ask it, adds it to the article itself, and then you can accept or decline its changes. So why would you not do this? Why would you not use a smart AI that can do the whole research for you and update all your content for you on autopilot, right? It's pretty cool. And by the way, you can just start from scratch from a blank screen and just copy your stuff and just paste it right here, and then you can use all the AI options, okay? Like these ones and these ones. Or if you're feeling frisky, what you can do is you can start from a link. So you can import your current pages here and then just create a draft based off of it and then just add it right here instead if you don't want to paste it, okay? So update your content, right? The content you wrote a year ago can still be relevant for today. Maybe it's just missing, and maybe a year ago it was getting a bunch of traffic, right? But maybe now it isn't because it just lacks relevancy. And so why would you write a whole new piece of content when you can just update your current ones, right? So update and optimize your current content. Current, by the way, that's been published a year ago or not. By the way, you could have content right now that you've been postponing to update because it takes time, right? For example, let's say you have an article you've written and you're missing a bunch of links because, by the way, internal links are fantastic for sales. These blog posts, right? One of the way they drive traffic to the businesses because there's links right here to their products. A simple link right here, which they don't have many, by the way, could be the difference between making a sale or not a sale, okay? So having internal links, having external links as well is very, very important. And so linking is very important. So let's say you just wrote an article with AI or manually, and now you have to put links. It's a pain in the butt because you have to find, okay, what's the best places I can add links to, maybe right here. Then you have to go and find the link you want to link out to, and then you have to go here and add it. With this, you can just select parts of it and say, okay, add links. And then the AI will find the best places to add links to, will find the most relevant URLs to link out to, and then choose the anchor text for you. In this case, I think it's smart to link out to Grok, maybe because people don't really know it that much, or maybe link out to internal pages on my site, to my products, etc. Hopefully you get the point. So editing content, excuse me, is very, very, very important. And with AI, it just saves you a bunch of time. Now, the third thing you should be doing is optimizing your technical SEO. This is very, very, very important. Why? Well, I'll give you an example. Let's say, and this is not necessarily that tied with GPT. It is to some extent, but it's more tied with Google. Let's say we have a site or someone searches for something on Google and we are ranking first and our competitor is ranking second. What do you think when people click here happens when your site takes 15 seconds to load? Well, they're just going to click off and then click the second result. And if enough people do this over and over again, well, they're going to switch and you're going to be ranking down. And there's some correlation between how well you do here and how well you do on ChatGPT as well, by the way. So 2/3 of it. So this is an example of technical SEO. Here's another example. For example, if I just search for Dallas plumber, okay? Now, who do you think is getting more clicks? Let me just show you an example of second page. There you go. So this right here, these little stars right here, this is done with technical SEO. And not only does this add more pixels, right, than these right here, my eyes are instantly drawn to this. Plus it's social proof. And this is achieved with technical SEO. Technical SEO is the boring part of SEO. It's the site speed. It's the schema markup, which is a little snippet of code you can add to your site to give you stuff like this, or give you stuff like images right here that maybe you've seen results where there's images right here. And this just, my eyes are drawn to that, and my CTR, my click-through rate is much higher. So speed, schema markup, your meta titles, your meta description. So meta title is this right here. Meta description is this right here, right? This is very important, right? Because if this is not enticing enough to click, well, I won't click it. And for example, this is bad because it's so long that it doesn't even show up to its full extent. So I cannot even read the full thing. So it's kind of pointless. So this is badly done. So you have to make a mix of a meta title and a meta description that are, one, optimized for SEO, meaning you sprinkle your keywords in here, for example, Dallas plumber, and optimized for click-through rate. So it makes you want to click. So top rated, brand, whatever. This is not very good. So you have to do a combination of these two things. Okay, so this is what technical SEO is. Also, image alt text, also canonical. So there's a lot of stuff right here. Now, let me play a clip here on why this is very important. Again, I made a video on this in the past, and so I'll play it here right now to give you a bit more context on why you need to focus on technical SEO. You should not neglect it. So play the clip. It has right here is in these site optimizers, where if you add your site right here, name it whatever you want, add your URL, select the language, select the pages, and hit create, what this will do is it'll give you a bunch of technical optimizations you can do on your site. For example, right now it analyzed 50 pages, and it gave me technical SEO recommendations on my page titles, meta descriptions, canonicals, image alt text, and schema. Okay. For example, page titles. For this page right here, the /x, right, which I'll just open it right here, for example. Let's just go here, boom, 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 /x. This is a page going over, this is a software business going over their integration with Twitter, okay? And right now, their page title is this, Twitter X API Integrate Latte, okay? And we are suggesting you change it to X Twitter API Schedule and Automate Posts, and then the brand name. And here's why. This title is more action-oriented and includes key terms like schedule and automate, which users might search for. It clearly states the core functionality, X API, and the brand name. It's concise and informative, aiming to improve click-through rates from search results by highlighting the primary benefits. So it gives you the why. It's giving you the current one, the one it suggests you change it to, and the why. And if you hit apply, it will log into your site and just change it just like that. And the reason why this is important is, like, meta titles are very important for two things. Firstly, again, so as you saw for click-through rates, if your meta title, even if you rank first, if your title sucks, well, nobody's going to click on it. And then for optimizing it for SEO, you have to sprinkle in your keywords there, right? This is a tool that helps you schedule posts to Twitter, right? So you should be including this keyword schedule or automate posts. So this is very poor, right? This is going to be it's not very well optimized, right? So for example, I'll give you another example. If I go here and just search for Dallas plumber, I give you this example all the time, right? There's some right here that have better meta titles than others. For example, this right here is too long, right? When you write over certain characters, it doesn't matter what you wrote because it doesn't even show up, right? So this right here is more optimized, right? Because it shows up the full thing. And that being said, I do prefer this right here, Dallas plumber 24/7, right? It draws more attention in my opinion. This one is very poor, right? They could write a bunch more stuff right here. They have the exact match keyword right here, Dallas plumbers, but they could do, for example, 24/7 or emergency service, right? You have to play around with optimizing for SEO, like sprinkling in your keywords, and at the same time making sure that people want to click it, right? It's enticing to click. Something that makes it enticing to click is this right here. These little stars, this is called schema markup. It's a little snippet of code you add to your site that makes these appear. Now, we also have schema right here. We have FAQ schema and article schema. We'll add more in the future, but these two things right here, and I'll leave a video down below the description. It's this one right here. You can go watch it. It's going to be the second video in the description. It goes over all these schema stuff, how to add it, what different types of schema do, but different schema does different things, and one of the things schema does is this right here. The FAQ schema is, for example, for stuff like can dogs eat strawberries right here. All these right here, the sites that show up here, right, these are because they have schema on their pages. If I open this up right here, these guys have FAQ schema on their page, okay? So if you want to show up or increase your likelihood of showing up in these custom like Google snippets, like FAQ schema is this, or for example, the review schema, which is this right here. If you want to add extra features to the Google ranking pages, you can through schema, which again, this helps you do. And this is all technical SEO. It does image alt tags, a bunch more stuff, right? Okay, there we go. So moving on to the fourth step right here, which is stealing your competitor's content and making it better. Now, you got to understand that the way in which these search engines work, regardless if you're using like the classic search engine or LLMs like ChatGPT, right? As I said before, all they do is they want to give the user the correct answer the fastest possible. For example, if you search on Google for how to change a light bulb, right? Google won't give you a blog article, right? Most likely it'll give you a video because it knows that a video of someone changing a light bulb, right, is the best way to satisfy the search intent for the keyword how to change a light bulb, right? It's not a blog post, right? It's a video because it's easier if it's in a video fashion. Same thing for LLMs like ChatGPT, right? All they want to do is two things. One, give you the correct information, and two, the fastest possible. So correct meaning if you type in how to change a light bulb on ChatGPT, it'll give you the instructions on how to do it. And the fastest is, instead of just sending you a list of text, it'll send you a link to a video on how to do it, okay? So that's the first thing. And so with that, right, what does stealing your competitor's content mean and making it better? So if you are on ChatGPT, right, and you prompt it with something, or if you're on Google and you search for a search term you want to rank first, right, analyze who's ranking first, analyze who's ranking second, analyze who's ranking third. For a certain prompt, right, or multiple variations of the same prompt, because you got to do some prompt research, right, analyze what the different answers are, and if there's any commonality between the answers. Are there any sites that are cited multiple times? For example, if I just go here into ChatGPT and I type in, hey, I want to host my online course, give me a few platforms I can do so, whatever, right? And this is my prompt, right? So the intent behind this prompt is, okay, I want to host an online course, so I'm looking for a platform that can do so. So I can extrapolate multiple prompts out of this one, right? I can stuff like I want what online course hosting platforms are out there, or for example, give me a list of online, or you get the point. So the multiple prompts, you can say the same thing in different ways, but the outcome, right, the intent of that prompt is to give it to, in this case, is to show you a list or give you some insight into what platforms I can choose. So search up multiple prompts and see, okay, is Thinkific mentioned multiple times? Is Teachable? Which of these companies are mentioned multiple times? Okay. Do this both on Google and on ChatGPT, right? And look for commonalities. And then what you're going to do is, okay, think about it. Why are these guys being mentioned, right? And what type of content is it being mentioned here, right? What sort of citations, right? Is it their homepages? Is it a blog page, right? What's ranking for these keywords? Who is ranking and what's ranking, right? What's being given citations? In the case, it's a listicle, okay? Here, it's the... let's see here. It's what's this? It's a homepage, okay? Here is what we have here: homepage and another listicle. So okay, I see a lot of listicles right here. Here's a Wikipedia page. Okay, this tells me that having a Wikipedia page could be a good thing, and maybe I should invest time in doing a Wikipedia page. So my point here is that you have to do some analysis and think, okay, for this prompt, for these keywords, who's ranking for them, and what type of content on their sites or not is ranking for those keywords. So what you can do is you can steal their content and make it better. Let me show you an example. So if we go here, for example, I just want to steal this right here. Let me just see. This is one of the citations. It's a blog post going over the 9 best online course selling platforms for creators. Okay, so it's super specific, right? It's not just a blog post on the 9 best online course selling platforms. It's for creators. So there's an ICP here, the ideal client profile, and it's time sensitive. It's for 2025. Okay, and then I tested all of them. This is a good age one, and most likely this also appears in the meta title as we spoke about before. Let me just see here. There you go. I've tried. So this is a great meta title. Has relevancy right here. Has I've tried, which gives social proof, and for sellers is the ICP. So this is good. The meta description could be better. It's not really that good, but yeah. So going back here, I can just take this link right here. And I know this is ranking. I know this is being cited. Can I produce a better piece of content than what these guys have here? Maybe I can. So I just take this and I can use something like this for that. Start from a URL, paste it here, create draft. I can take in a draft from this, or you can just, I guess, use ChatGPT. You can just take all this and copy all this stuff. You just Command A, Command C, and just paste it in ChatGPT, right? And you can just speak back and forth with it and make some changes. My point here is that you can take the existing content. There you go. This is the existing content, and now make a couple changes. Okay, and now tailor this to let's say instead of what was it? Instead of creators, let's just tailor this for example, women in business. Yeah, sure, why not? Right, and the AI will read the whole thing and make this tailored based on the info that's already here for whatever you just told it. So it's telling me, I can help you tailor this to women in business. What specific aspects of action would you like to focus on? Okay, make sure to online coaches. Okay, because let's say like I want to rank and I want to make sure that we show up on ChatGPT and we show up on Google for the 9 best online course platforms for coaches, right? Whatever that means. All right, there you go. So I've updated the article to tailor to online coaches. This includes the changes in the introduction, section headings, and various parts of the text to reflect the specific needs and interests of online coaches. Please review whatever, right? So it made some changes on the article where it saw fit, whether that's tables and headers, whatever, and then you can just accept or decline the suggestion. Let's just do accept. Point here is that you can take successful pieces of content that are cited on GPT and that rank on Google, right, and iterate them, make them tailored to your brand. You don't even need to use something like this. You can just use ChatGPT, I think, and talk back and forth with it. Make sure you say to mention your brand. Make sure to tell it to be specific and tailor the piece of content to whatever it is that's the niche you're targeting. Okay. So again, to recap, take a look at the brands who are consistently being cited or mentioned for multiple prompts. Again, make sure that the prompts you write, even if it's multiple prompts, that the intent behind the prompt is the same. Okay, so make a list of the brands that appear. Then look at what's being cited. Is it their homepages? Of course. So if you are a competing platform for Thinkific, you should also have a homepage that sort of looks like this. Okay, that says you host online courses. So you should have already a site, right? And then what else is cited? So listicles, 15 best online course platforms. What else? Not a listicle. So most of the times it's just listicles. I would think there would be like reviews, but there's no reviews. It's mostly listicles. There's a Wikipedia page, so it could be an interesting thing to tackle. Maybe create a Wikipedia page for your brand and look for this listicle, Wikipedia page, homepage, and Reddit. Okay, so yeah, another listicle. So this tells me that what GPT is valuing right here for prompts with the same search intent as this one is listicles. So look at the ones that are being cited, take them, improve them. Okay, can you write a piece of content that's better than this one? Can you write something else that can add value to this, that can add more value than this post or the ads? Surely you can, and this is quite ugly, so this could be way better done. And there could even be like a CTA down here on the right hand sidebar. So you could for sure do a better job with this than these guys are doing, and most likely outrank them or outcite them in a lot of instances. So yeah, I'd say go for that. So hopefully that made sense. The point is to look at who's ranking and what content is ranking, right? And then making it better. Now you can write it from scratch, or you can just take in the URLs and just basically taking the content into account and then just use it to like ChatGPT, or just use AI as a whole to speak back and forth with it to change things, or just use this tool that allows you to change things in the article, add keywords, maybe add your brand name, or mention my brand name here, or actually never mind, mention on the top spot my brand online course hosting platform.com, whatever, and write a paragraph about it. Make sure to also add a table that compares all my features with the top 10 competitors. Again, what this does, it will search the web, it will take everything into account. Just works as like your assistant to edit the article for you a lot faster. Because yes, you could do all this. You could add the table, you could write the paragraph, but just take you a lot of time. Plus, you'd have to read the whole thing to have all the article context into account to make sure you don't repeat yourself. So stuff like this is where AI really shines and does a great job in my opinion. Okay, so moving on to step number 5, the automation part. You can automate the whole thing with automatic blogs. And so we have a few case studies here, and this will be a bit more about Arvo. We have a few case studies here of people who've done it successfully. Basically, the whole process that I just described manually, you can just automate the whole thing. So you can go into blog automation, where you can basically just connect your site, WordPress, Blogger, Ghost, Shopify, Webflow, Wix, whichever CMS you're on, Squarespace, right? And then have it so Arvo right here is connected with your site, okay? And it's doing the keyword research for you, right? Then it's automatically generating content for you, right? The content we just talked about, right? And then automatically publishing the content to your site. So it's publishing all these pieces of content, valuable pieces of content to your site on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, whatever. You can choose the frequency, right? And again, all these articles right here, if you just open them up, they could be anything you want. They could be listicles, it could be news feeds, it could be anything you want, right? But all of them should have a featured image, key takeaway section, table of contents, proper content extraction with in-article images, in-article videos, bullets, tables, quotes, external links, linking out to, for example, Wikipedia, linking out to Forbes, linking out to external authoritative sources. Okay, that makes sense according to what the niche you're in. Internal links as well. So these articles or these pieces of content should be interlinked between each other in a way that makes sense. So all this done for you automatically, right? Plus, you can have it so it writes in your brand's tone of voice by adding a knowledge base right here, which basically I went over this before. You can create a knowledge base where you upload your brand's assets onto Arvo, so it's able to produce brand tailored content that's not AI generic, AI slop type of content. You can even use your own custom images if you like. Point being is that you can automate the whole thing with an automatic blog. That you can basically, let me just open it up right here. You can set this up so it's a full automation, so it takes in info from a feed, it generates and publishes it. You can set it so it's a planned automation mode, and then automation review, which is what I want to go over here, because this is where the last step comes into place, because you can automate the whole thing, but how does it know what type of content to produce? So you can test different feeds. Here's what I mean by YouTube feed, keyword feed, and news feed. So right here, you'll notice that all these are based off of a feed. And what a feed is the info you give to the auto blog to get it started. So you can give it a list of keywords, you can give it like a news feed, RSS feed, or a YouTube channel feed. For example, I'll give you an example of a YouTube channel feed. This is where you can add a YouTube channel URL, right? And when the channel posts a new video, our AI will take in that video, right, and convert it into a blog post, which is exactly what this guy did right here. Let me see if I can find him right here. This right here, this French guy, he owns a marketing agency. You can watch the case study if you like. What he did is he took a bunch of YouTube videos that were recorded in English, right, English, and he converted the medium of consumption. So he converted the YouTube videos into blog posts. Not just that, he didn't just convert the medium of consumption from video to written format. He also converted the language from English to French. And he's crushing it. He's pulling in almost 6K a month in traffic just off of doing this. And of course, when the blog posts give credit to the original person who recorded the video. But he's pulling in a ton of traffic just off of this, just off of having an automatic blog that's based off of a YouTube video, a YouTube channel. So you can do, like, for example, MKBHD, the YouTube tech reviewer. As soon as he posts a video, you can just take that and convert it into a blog post, put it on your site, right? You can do the same thing with news. You can create a news feed. For example, if you do Elon Musk, this will give you a bunch of the latest stories on Elon Musk. And what this AI will do is it will take all the stories from CNN, CNBC, Fox News, whatever, take them all, read through them all, and then write a whole new news piece based off of that and publish it to your site. And you might be wondering why this is valuable. Well, here's another case study of a guy that took his site from 0 to 10K a month in just 24 hours doing exactly this. You can watch the whole case study right here. It's insane growth, right? 0 to 10K a month just doing this, just generating content based off of a news feed, okay? I'll leave links for all this down below in the description. You can check them out, but it is insane, right? And the point is that you can do all this stuff, all these automations with multiple types of feeds, RSS, newsfeed, the classic keyword feed where you give it a list of keywords, or excuse me, not give it, but you give it a URL, right? Competitors, keyword seeds, and the AI will come up with the keywords on autopilot, then generate content based off of those keywords, and then publish that content straight to your site. Okay, that's pretty cool. This is a whole new level of automation which you cannot do with tools like ChatGPT, right? You cannot create a feed based off of all this stuff. You cannot connect directly with your CMS and have it produce amazing pieces of content on autopilot and publish them to your site and see these sorts of results. So that's pretty cool. And so that's basically it. All these guys you see here, they did nothing different. These guys, they did nothing different from what I just told you right here in this video. All this is simple, not easy, but it is quite simple. So hopefully right now you have every single thing you need to get started. If you want to give Arvo a go, right, surely you can go to the site, but what I recommend you do is you go to arvo.com/blackcard. And what this is a special program that I don't announce publicly really often, where it gives you access to Arvo. So a fully unlocked business account of Arvo. Okay, so all the features you just saw that here, you have them all unlocked. So you can just set up an auto blog, have it run in the back end. You can do all this stuff. You can edit the content from a URL, from a link. You can do all this cool stuff, generate the content, create knowledge bases, all that cool stuff. You get a full 12 months access to the business account. At the same time, I build backlinks to you. I build DR40 plus backlinks to your site every single month manually. This is not with AI. This is an actual manual process. I'm the guy behind it, actually building the backlinks. That's pretty cool. You get 2,000 extra lifetime credits. These never expire, by the way. These stay on forever. They do not expire. If you have a friend, I'll build a DR40 plus to a site of your friends. Okay. Again, this is on top of the monthly backlinks I'll build every single month to you. Okay. I'll also send you an in-depth GEO audit. That stands for Generative Engine Optimization Audit, or AI SEO, or whatever you want to call it. Basically, I'll give you my 15-minute, 20-minute tips on if I was a founder of your brand, what I would do to position myself better on LLMs like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Grok, etc. And hopefully you can become the next case study. And if you do, if you win, you'll get $1,000. There's more details in the video right here, but hopefully you can be shown here on our case studies tab and win $1,000 if you are the most successful case study we see from all the people who joined the Black Card. So I'll leave a link for this in the description and also in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching. And if you can do me a huge favor and comment the words AI SEO, that'll be amazing, because this video took me a long time to record. And yeah, as a favor, if you just comment the words AI SEO to help YouTube's algorithm push this out to more people, that'll be amazing. Thank you so much. Please check all the links, check the Black Card, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.